Teflon. Roy Plunkett invented Teflon while trying to make a better refrigerator. When the DuPont chemist was only 27 years old, he had a big idea. Plunkett wanted to combine the specific gas with hydrochloric acid. He gathered the desired gas tetrafluoroethylene but wasn't quite ready to start experimenting. So, he cooled and pressurized the gas in canisters overnight. But when he returned the next day, the gas was gone. The canisters weighed the same amount as when they were full, but nothing came out. Where did all the gas go? Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Confused, Plunkett cut the canisters in half. The gas had solidified on the sides, creating a slick surface. Rather than discard the apparent mistake, Plunkett and his assistant tested the new polymer and found that it had some very unusual properties. It was extremely slippery as well as inert to virtually all chemicals, including highly corrosive acids, writes DuPont in its corporate history. The product, trademarked as Teflon in 1945, was first used by the military in artillery shell fuses and in the production of nuclear material for the Manhattan Project. While Plunkett thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Invented Teflon, he didn't come up with the idea of using it for cooking. About a decade after Plunkett sawed those canisters in half, a French engineer named Marc Gregoire introduced TEFL pans, the first to be lined in Teflon. The idea came from his wife. Before TEFL, Mr. Gregoire used Teflon on his fishing tackle to prevent tangling. Only Madame Gregoire realized that the non-stick surface would be perfect for cookware. Play-Doh. The modeling dough with the unique smell that children and even adults love to play with was not originally used for thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Fun and games. In fact, it was used for the exact opposite, cleaning. Before World War II, coal was commonly used to heat homes, which left soot stains on walls. Noah and Joseph McVicker of Curtol Products, a Cincinnati-based soap manufacturer, created the Downy material to rub the soot off of wallpaper. However, after the war, natural gas became a more common heat source. As coal was phased out, few people needed Curtol's cleaning product. The company faced bankruptcy. In the early 1950s, Joseph McVicker learned that his sister, a school teacher, used the material. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. In her classroom as modeling dough. And thus, Play-Doh was born. The McVickers decided to market their non-toxic creation as a children's toy. In 1955, they tested their product at nurseries and schools. A year later, they created the company Rainbow Crafts. The Play-Doh smell came from the McVickers trying to hide the original cleaning aroma. Many ingredients of Play-Doh are not publicly known, but it is said that the McVickers added an artificial almond scent to the recipe. In 1956, Play-Doh was first sold at Woodward and Lothrop, a department store in Washington. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. DC. It came in only one color, off-white. Colored Play-Doh came out the following year and was sold at more department stores, such as Macy's in New York. The McVickers became millionaires as Play-Doh ads were broadcast on kids shows such as Captain Kangaroo, Ding Dong School, and Romper Room. Superglue. Eastman Kodak research. Harry Coover discovered superglue years before he figured out what to do with it. At first, its stickiness infuriated him. Mr. Coover first came across cyanoacrylates, a chemical name for these rubber adhesives in world. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. War II. His team tried to use the material to create plastic gun sights. Too bad the cyanoacrylates kept sticking to everything. Coover dismissed the chemical and tried different approaches. He came across the material again in 1951. This time, Kodak experimented with cyanoacrylates for heat-resistant jet airplane canopies. Again, the stickiness got in the way. But then Coover had an epiphany. Coover realized these sticky adhesives had unique properties in that they required no heat or pressure to bond, writes the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in a column from 2004. He and thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. His team tried the substance on various items in the lab and each time, the items became permanently bonded together. Coover, and his employer, knew they were onto something. While Coover's original patent called the new invention superglue, Kodak sold the adhesive under the less evocative name Eastman 910. Later it became known as superglue, and Coover became somewhat of a celebrity, appearing on television in the show I've Got a Secret, where he lifted the host, Gary Moore, off the ground using a single drop of the substance, writes MIT. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Silly puppy, you can stretch it. You can bounce it. You can't throw it. The eraser-colored goo was not intended to become one of America's favorite childhood toys, but actually a synthetic substitute for rubber during World War II. Rubber, used for tires, gas masks, life rafts, and boots, was essential for the war. With Japan attacking many rubber manufacturing countries in Asia, America was in a pickle. Citizens were asked to donate any old tires, rain boots, coats, and anything else made of rubber. But it still wasn't thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Enough. The government reached out to companies to invent a synthetic rubber with similar properties. In 1943, James Wright, an engineer working for General Electric, entered the scene. Wright just happened to combine boric acid and silicone oil in one of his test tubes, creating the goo that would eventually fill hours of playtime. The goo could rebound and stretch more than traditional rubber, had a very high melting temperature, and did not collect mold. Although the Nutty Puppy didn't contain the properties needed to replace rubber, Wright hoped there would be some conventional thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Use for it. However, the government was not interested. Wright sent samples of it to scientists around the country and they too were not interested. However, partygoers found the goo very entertaining. In 1949, the second character entered the scene, the unemployed Peter Hodgson, who saw an opportunity. He borrowed $147 to buy the rights from GE and began producing the goo, which he renamed Silly Puppy. He packaged it in plastic eggs because it was close to Easter. Soon children across the country wanted Silly Puppy. Kids could even stretch thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. And distort their favorite comic book heroes by slapping the puppy down on printed pages. It became one of the fastest-selling toys in America's history. Slinky like James Wright, inventor of Silly Puppy, engineer Richard James researched to aid American troops during World War II. In his home laboratory in Philadelphia, James attempted to invent springs that would support and stabilize sensitive instruments on naval ships during rough seas. One spring was knocked off the work table and stepped its way down to the floor. After James watched it recoil itself, thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. And stand upright on the floor, the light bulb went off in his brain. James showed the stepping spring to his wife, Betty, and said he could make a children's toy out of it. Because the Navy was unresponsive to the springs, James spent the next couple of years perfecting his toy idea. Betty came up with the name Slinky and the couple first demonstrated its toy at Jimble's department store in 1945. In just 90 minutes, they sold 400 Slinkies. Within 50 years, James Industries sold more than a quarter of thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. A billion Slinkies worldwide, and the slinking toy is still finding its way into American pop culture. The Slinky jingle is the longest-running song in advertisement history. It first aired in 1962, What walks downstairs, alone or in pairs, and makes a slinky sound. A spring, a marvelous thing. Everyone knows it's Slinky. It's Slinky, it's Slinky. For fun it's a wonderful toy. It's Slinky, it's Slinky. It's fun for a girl or a boy. It's fun for a girl or boy. Velcro thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Many dog owners grumble when their loyal companions play outside and return with all sorts of nature stuck to their fur and feet, bringing the outside environment into their once clean homes. But not Swiss electrical engineer, George DeMastro, who, after taking a walk in the woods with his dog, was fascinated by the cockleburr's ability to cling to his clothes and his dog's fur. Under a microscope, Mestral examined the tons of tiny hooks that line cockleburrs and discovered they could easily attach to the small loops found in clothing. And thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. First, he experimented with different materials to make his own hooks and loops form a stronger bond. In 1955, Mestral decided nylon was perfect and thus Velcro was invented. Velcro, the combination of velvet and crochet, was showcased in a 1959 fashion show held at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City. However, it didn't receive positive reviews from fashion enthusiasts. Velcro wasn't widely used until NASA made it popular in the early 1960s. Apollo astronauts used it to secure items that they didn't want escaping in their zero-gravity environment. Hospitals and athletic. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Companies eventually used Velcro after realizing the practicality of the material. In 1968, Puma was the first to use Velcro on shoes, Adidas, Reebok, and others followed suit. Vulcanized rubber. In the early 1830s, natural rubber was all the rage, but the excitement faded. People realized that their rubber would freeze and crack during the winter or melt into a sticky, smelly goo during the summer. Natural rubber could not stand extreme temperatures, and so its popularity quickly died. Charles Goodyear spent years trying to overcome rubber's problems, and he thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Only succeeded by mistake. Goodyear tried various powders to dry up the stickiness, but to no avail. Everything kept melting. These expensive experiments pushed his family into debt and resulted in jail time. Yet even in prison, Goodyear was undeterred from his goal. Some called him a madman. According to a biography of Goodyear in Reader's Digest, he walked into a general store in Woburn, Mass., to show off his rubber products. This time it had sulfur in it to act as a drying agent. Goodyear got so excited that the rubber flew. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Out of his hands and landed on a hot stove. When he examined it, he noticed that it did not melt, but instead charred black. After poking and prodding, Goodyear also noticed that it still had the springy surface texture of rubber, the gum elastic it was known for. Goodyear had made rubber weatherproof. Another tale tells a different story. Goodyear absent-mindedly turned out the lights to his makeshift lab and spilled his vials and test tubes containing sulfur, lead, and rubber onto a still hot stove. The result was the same, a charred rubber-like substance that didn't melt. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. In the extreme heat. After testing in freezing temperatures, Goodyear finally succeeded in his goal, and it only happened because of a careless mistake. After many patent battles, Goodyear died still in debt. He didn't start the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, the American company was instead named in his honor. Life, Goodyear wrote, should not be estimated exclusively by the standard of dollars and cents. I am not disposed to complain that I have planted and others have gathered the fruits. A man has cause for regret only when he thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Sows and no one reaps.